I want to go back to the point I made in my opening statement related to the effects in areas under Russian influence of our rule of law countries' willingness to provide rule of law shelter to corruptly obtained assets, and further provide anonymity to the thieves and the criminals and the traffickers and the kleptocrats and oligarchs who stole them. And, I see that happening, and I see that it is wrong. Where you have more expertise than I do is what effect that operation, that ability to hide anonymously their stolen assets behind rule of law protections has for their power, their strength, their dominion over countries that are in Russia's shadow. In a nutshell, how much does that hurt?
Thank you, Senator Whitehouse. I think it absolutely hurts quite a bit. And in the case of a number of countries, but I'll speak briefly about Moldova. Moldova has been in the past a regular vector of Russian illicit finance, corruption, and kleptocracy. And it has been a success story that our partnership with the Moldovans and Moldova's integration into Europe has been a real impediment to that flow of illicit finance, irregular migration, even the flow of fissile materials. And there's a number of cases, but one of the largest is the Russian laundromat case between a period of 2010 to 2014, where there was something like tens of billions, some estimates go upwards of $80 billion, that was facilitated from Russia through Moldova into hundreds, if not thousands of companies in the West, including about 2,000 companies registered in the United Kingdom, several hundred companies here in the United States. And that was orchestrated by a Moldovan oligarch, Vyacheslav Platon. And it was that Russian laundromat that sort of put on display the powers by which Russia could employ illicit finance to do two things. One, to cleanse dirty money and to spread its influence, its financial influence, but also its political and strategic influence into Europe and into the West, and also to undermine and cripple its states in the region, including in Moldova. Wherever this money goes, it taints the companies, the governments that flow with it. And so being able to have reliable partners in the region who can be responsive, who have the same goals that the United States has to undermine these financial flows is incredibly important.
Yes, I agree, and I will note that there are two tiers to this. Russia actually funds a lot of their hybrid operations in Europe and outside of Russia through this type of funding. So this isn't simply a financial monetary issue, it's a concrete national security issue for a lot of our partners. So in that context, laundering money for political, diplomatic, and even then operational objectives is a playbook that Russia has developed. We've seen, for example, at a lower level, Azerbaijan use this as well with caviar diplomacy in Europe. So this is becoming a playbook for authoritarian regimes, and of course, Russia wrote the book on this. And just as similarly, we've noted the extensive subversions in Moldova. Right now, Russia is precisely using oligarchic money to disrupt the democratic transition process in Armenia. They're using oligarchic money to basically fracture the democratic process and, in essence, subvert developments. So they view this entire process as an important instrument of the state to achieve its set objectives. But they do this through illicit means, which creates a notion known as traceless manipulation, where they could achieve their objectives, but it becomes really difficult to accuse them, so they claim plausible deniability. And it's a very, very important tool they've been using both in Europe, and now we're seeing a lot of that used in Moldova and Armenia as well.
Thank you. I'll add on Belarusian militarization of economy, something that I also mentioned in the beginning. So there are currently more than 280 companies and enterprises that support Russia's invasion. They deliver all goods from microchips to even uniforms. There are testimonies from political prisoners who were released saying that they were involved in sewing of uniforms that went to Russia afterwards. There is even an enterprise that was producing skis, and now this enterprise supports the invasion of Ukraine by delivering products to Russia. So you see this collaboration. Belarus is using around 20 ports in Russia because of the Lithuanian decision to close its territory for transition of potash. So Belarus is now using Russian ports. In 2022, when most important painful sanctions were imposed, Belarus lost 4% of GDP as the result of these sanctions, but now it recovered because of this collaboration with Russia and because of this kind of economy helping Russia's war machine. But sanctions is something that can make a difference here, especially sanctions on the militarized economy. I think that's really crucial, and that would also weaken Russia